House Bill 9850, the voters' registration extension, and the new candidates for the 2022 elections. Tony talks with Bongbong Marcos and historical revisionism, and the COVID-19 situation this September in this monthly wrap-up of podcasts, conversations on Philippine history, politics, and society. Magandang araw, ako si Beck.
Ako si Aaron.
At ako si Lee. At siguradong namimiss na tayo ng ating mga listeners kasi isang buwan na rin mula nung
Sana naman, no?
ni-wrap up natin yung last season natin. Parating na yung bagong season, pero bago yun, hindi pwedeng na rin pag-usapan yung mga pangyayari nitong buwan ng Setyembre.
Yes, and for this wrap-up, we are joined by a public historian and public intellectual. Malamang kung active kayo sa Twitter, kilala nyo to. So welcome to the show, Chris Passion.
Indio historian.
Hello listeners.
Yes.
Hello guys, maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Salamat din sa pagpayag. So very exciting itong September, especially for historians like us. Tulad na banggit kayo na siguro mga dalawa. Siguro, well, yung kasi yung interest ng podcast no? Kaya yung issues na in-identify namin for this month, mga issue na kumbaga malapit sa puso namin, issues close to our hearts as historians.
Simulan natin yung discussion sa isang issue na lumabas nung simula ng buwan. Kamakailan, napag-alaman natin na ipinasa sa House of Representatives yung House Bill 9850, which mandates the integration of Philippine history during World War II into the higher education curriculum. And I think initially kung ganun lang yung news, it's a good thing kasi we should really learn more about our war experience as a nation. Pero this House Bill actually mandates the integration of World War II in the Philippine history subject, particularly yung, I think, readings in Philippine history sa college level. At kailangan, ang requirement ng batas ay 50% nung subject ay dapat naka-allot sa World War II. And as history educators and as historians, I think we are all aware why and how this is a problem. So, anong masasabi nyo sa usapin na ito?
So, nung nabasa ko, una ko itong nabasa nung na-approve sa third reading sa House. Tama, no? This month, itong House Bill na to. Noong una di ko siya pinapansin, pero when I actually got into reading the proposed law or the proposed act, nawindang ako kasi yung una kong tanong, bakit? Pero kapag binasa mo kasi yung House Bill, doon mo makikita kung anong particular na aspeto ng World War II yung ina-advocate na gawing really significant portion of the portion on Philippine history in college. At makita natin na yung mga stakeholders na itatap nila dito ay yung war veterans. Alright. So makikita na yung magiging emphasis ng discussion sa World War II would be particularly the military history aspect of this particular period. And yun nga, yung tanong natin dyan ay, bakit? Kasi kung tutuusin, World War II only lasted for around 3 years. It's a very short period. I mean, nung college nga ang tawag dyan, Japanese interregnum. Di ba? Kasi interregnum lang siya. It wouldn't even qualify as a period. And I think this is also because after the war ended, the ruling elite at least, the political elite, survived, di ba? Na-restore lang naman yung old order. So what was so significant about this? Tapos considering na kapag tinignan natin yung larger picture, it wasn't even our war to begin with, di ba? Yung World War II bilang isang global event ay hindi naman natin digmaan talaga kung tutusin. So maaari siya nag-instigate ng mga pagbabago sa politika halimbawa at sa lipunan sa West, sa Europe. Pero sa Pilipinas, parang hindi masyado. So, papatanong ka, Philippine history subject is a very important course in college. In fact, di ba, sa CHED at kahit sa atin sa UP, it's a required GE course. So, would we really sacrifice other, I dare say, more significant periods in the past and aspects of our past bilang isang bansa at bilang isang lipunan? For this very short period na tumatalakay din ng isang very specific na usapin na topic, which is the war. At ayun nga, so medyo nakaka-bother, no? Parang nagbabalik ka dun sa tradisyon ng pagtuturo at pag-aaral ng kasaysayan na nakatuon sa digmaan, di ba? or sa affairs ng estado. Kasi kahit na sabihin nila na, oh, hindi lang naman yung military aspect ng digmaan yung pagtutuunan ng pansin, maging yung heroismo, di ba? Yung panahon ng digmaan. So, again, isa ring napaka-problematikong bagay, ano? Totoo ba nabibigyan din natin yung heroismo sa panahon ng war? I don't know. And again, and also from a feminist point of view, sobrang sobrang patriarchal at sobrang macho ng ganitong pagtingin sa nakaraan. To look at the war as a, kasi ginagawa nila, pinapalabas nila that it was the most significant aspect of our past.
Napapag-usapan namin yan sa Twitter, no, yung mga friends natin sa History Space TV.
Uh-huh.
Isa sa mga na bring up na issue is yung Philippine history kasi ay wala sa high school,
Mhm.
no. And pagdating sa pagtatalakay ng kasaysayan sa college, usually kailangan muli i-introduce ng mga instructors yung basics ng Philippine history sa college kasi nga wala sa high school, no. So nauubos yung oras dun sa pag-i-introduce ulit, no, nung basics ng kasaysayan. So parang yung demand na dapat not less than 50% yung ilaan na dun sa tatlong taon na yun. Medyo may
Totoo.
pagkakasama.
Anong basis nun?
Walang consultation na nangyari. Although may balita kami, no, sa aming mga kaibigan sa National Historical Commission, no, na nakakuha ng approval ang nag-draft nung bill sa NHCP, no. So ayun, no, pero ambiguous din yung pagkakasabi, no, kasi parang syempre lahat naman ng pupush ng advocacy ng kasaysayan napapayagan naman ng NHCP, no, pero yun nga yung nuance lang na 50% para lang doon sa tatlong taon na yun. At paano naman yung iba, no? Paano naman yung ibang issues ng kasaysayan tulad ng representation, tulad yung mga marginalized groups, no, yung mga ibang mga halimbawa ethnohistory, halimbawa, or mga iba pang concerns, no, na kailangan pang i-develop sa Philippine history na kulang pa hanggang ngayon. So
Actually, no, sa akin naman para siyang nung nabalitaan ko yung tungkol dito sa proposed bill na ito, yung unang reaction ko para siyang one step forward, two steps back. Alam mo yun na merong conscious effort to bring history into the discussion and have it front and center sa curriculum and so on. Pero parang two steps back kasi nga ang daming issue na kailangang i-unpack at i-discuss pa bakit yung particular period na yun yung pipiliin, no? So at syempre hindi ko alam kung ako ay skeptic lang talaga at natatakot rin kasi 'di ba alam naman natin na yung at ito ay later on syempre mabi-bring up din natin dahil September wrap up ito, 'di ba, na isang malaking propaganda talaga na nag-launch sa career ni Ferdinand Marcos ay yung World War II heroism niya supposedly, 'di ba? So nandun lang ako sa point na paano natin ma-ensure na hindi ito magagamit again as a platform to revitalize yung ganitong imagery ni Ferdinand Marcos sa kasaysayan na ginamit na niya noon sa isang paraan na ah, para in a way maloko yung taong bayan na siya ay bayani ng World War II at pinabulaanan na ito ng National Historical Commission of the Philippines dun sa mahabang paper na kanilang inilabas para tutulan yung muling paglibing or paglilipat ng mga labi ni Ferdinand Marcos sa libingan ng mga bayani. So, kung magkakaroon ng platform na ganito kalaki na 50%, no, yung World War II, 'di ba katulad ng binanggit ni Beck at ni Chris kanina, maha-highlight yung idea na you can be a hero only in the time of war. Meron siyang ganung pwedeng unintended consequence. Tapos, kung ganun yung consequence, edi ang laking bayani talaga ni Ferdinand Marcos. Yung mga ganun na pwedeng magkabit-kabit na issue na katulad ng sinabi ni Chris kanina. Dahil nga, in a way, sa maraming paraan ay magsisimula ulit yung college instructor sa pagbibuild ng kaalaman tungkol sa history para sa mga estudyante na 4-6 na taon na walang history dahil mapuputol nga yung Philippine history education nila. Tapos yun yung dadatnan nila na paraan, 'di ba? No, so yung mga ganong kabit-kabit na issue lang din na hindi lang siya sa akin sa usapin ng polisiya in terms of sino yung nagpo-push ng mga ganitong legislation, pero yung mga unintended consequences nito in the future na pwedeng maging resulta nung ganitong klaseng legislation. Tapos syempre ang sa akin lang, kung may ganitong mga pagpupush tungkol sa historical awareness, marami namang ibang channels katulad ng pag-i-increase ng budget ng NHCP, for example, or pagsuporta sa mga research grant para makuha yung narratives ng mga war veteran, pagsuporta sa mga scholar na nagre-research sa period na to. So maraming paraan para ma-highlight yung World War II. At I think hindi kailangan na 50% ng panahon na gugugulin sa pag-aaral ay i-devote doon sa period na yun.
I wrote an article, an opinion piece sa Rappler about this because I had a lot to say about it. Pero more than anything, I'm just scared kasi we know how the military has been given a very prominent space in the Duterte administration. And even the NTF-ELCAC, di ba? Ang mode nila is to fight communism and left-leaning ideology. Ang problema kasi sa promotion ng military ideology, especially kung gagamitin ng World War II, is it can also be a vehicle for this ludicrous idea of the government that the left is gaining ground in the Philippines, kahit na hindi naman talaga. So, we should be careful kasi any study of the war can lead to the glorification and justification of war. Na okay lang gawin siya kasi para naman sa bayan, di ba? Hindi lang naman yun yung paraan para ipakita na mahal mo ang bayan. At hindi lang naman sa war natin nakikita yung patriotism at nationalism at maraming paraan para mag-manifest ito.
This September is the 49th anniversary of the commemoration of martial law. And yung September 11 nga, kinommemorate ng mga kababayan natin sa Ilocos yung birth anniversary ni Ferdinand Marcos. No? And soon, may online presence din yung pagbati dun sa birthday ni Senator Bongbong Marcos. No? And true enough, yung occasion na yun, lumitaw yung interview ni Tony Gonzaga, isang kilalang celebrity. After she interviewed the Vice President Lenny Robredo and then the other people from the political opposition, in-interview niya ito, and nagkaroon ng malawakang backlash, especially on Twitter, kasi ang Twitter, yung structure kasi ng yung the way yung algorithm sa Twitter kasi hindi ma-penetrate dito ng mga propagandists and trolls, unlike on Facebook na they could drown the organic discussion. So most of the people na dissenters nasa Twitter, and nagmula din doon yung backlash against Tony Gonzaga. And ayun nga I was very impatient about it na hindi ko pinanood yung entire thing, Pero based on what I know, dun sa mga nag-tweet, talagang there's an effort to humanize, si Bongbong Marcos, na may mga linyahan na na tao lang siya, ganyan, na tao dito may pa-joke pa na in-invite daw siya ni yung dictator ng street, So, Generalissimo Franco, So, nag-trending din yun, and sa Twitter, Pero yun nga, no, kasi ako, I would always caution myself na hindi talaga, even when organic descent is very alive on Twitter, hindi rin ito reflection ng totoong kwento sa labas, no, sa offline. So, yung si Tony Gonzaga, no, parang she panders into that notion na oh, ano naman, nagiging balance lang naman ako, nagiging impartial lang naman ako, no. Tapos biglang lumitaw pa, no, yung isang interview, no, with her and Will Dasovich, no, yung basically saying na lahat naman ng tao, no, we all have stories to tell, no, whether good or bad, no, we all have stories to tell and it's worth telling. Parang gano'n, no. So it's basically dismissing all the evidences, no, gathered by journalists and historians, no, on the record, no, that was made during the Marcos regime. So it's an attempt to humanize, no, and gain sympathy also from the viewers. And true enough, no, talaga ang daming mga supporters ng senador, ng dating senador na no, pinopromote si Tony Gonzaga and talagang even using the narrative in saying na nagiging unfair, no, nagiging unfair yung mga kumukontra kay BBM, no, kasi yun nga parang uh, very biased daw, no. Never mind ignoring the fact, no, na itong mga atrocities committed under that regime, no, and a host of other plunder cases, no. So yun, no, yun yung just a gist of it.
Actually, hindi ko pinanood yung video.
Hindi kaya.
Siguro
Ako rin.
dahil ayoko lang i-boost yung platform or something, pero or baka hindi ko kasi kayanin in the long run na pakinggan yung mga sasabihin. So siguro yung sasabihin ko na lang dito is yung broader discussion siguro na maaari nating gawin dito sa nangyari sa Tony Talks at sa perspective natin on martial law. I think ito rin yung isang bagay na kailangan nating pag-usapan pagdating sa social media at doon sa pagbabago ng landscape ng pagdi-disseminate ng information at ng content sa wider public. Kasi 'di ba kung sa traditional media, kung sa television, sa newspaper or sa radio, 'di ba? We usually have these particular bodies like the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, and then you have ethics na sinusunod, ganyan, no? So, merong mga standards of journalism, quote-unquote, kumbaga, na baka hindi nasasakop or hindi naiisip ng mga content creator kapag nasa public platform katulad ng YouTube, 'di ba? At yung ganitong aspekto lang din, I think yung idea na yung democratization ng social media pagdating sa pagbibigay ng boses sa mga tao, no? So, while we recognize yung power nun, 'di ba? I think itong ganitong klaseng situation katulad ng nangyari sa Tony Talks also reminds us of the need to also talk about the limits and the dangers of social media as well, lalo na pagdating sa pagpapakalat ng information at sa pag-consume din natin mismo ng information, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman din siya tungkol lang din doon sa content creator, kundi I think tungkol din siya doon sa public na nagko-consume ng content, 'di ba, no? So, napakahalaga din nung pag-arm natin sa mga tao na ng information at ng critical thinking skills para kung ano man yung content na ibigay sa kanila ng mga content creator na ito ay kaya nilang pumosisyon at tasahin yung mga ganitong mga content, no? So, I think yun yung broader perspective sa akin na gusto kong tignan natin dito sa Tony Talks. Kasi hindi lang naman si Tony Gonzaga yung nag-iisang content creator na nagbigay ng platform sa mga Marcos para magkaroon ng whitewashing at ng historical distortion, 'di ba? At mas madami pang insidious actually sa kanya. Pero ang laki kasi nung clout ni Tony Gonzaga sa YouTube kaya talagang napag-usapan siya. Pero I think kailangan nating pag-usapan na hindi ito isolated case at ito ay marami ng mga content creator yung gumagawa nito. At we can even argue that maybe the Marcos family themselves are out to fund projects that would create narratives different from several historical sources would say. No, so I think yun yung critical point na kailangan nating pag-usapan dito. Hindi lang siya usapin ng sino yung nag-create ng content, pero kailangan din nating pag-usapan yung consumption ng content, kung paano siya tinatanggap ng mga tao. Yeah.
Ako naman ayokong maging parang conspiracy theorist, no? Pero there's something about the timing of this interview. Why do it in the same month when we commemorate and remember the declaration of martial law? Why do it a little over a few weeks before the filing of candidacies? And why through this platform? So, malinaw na malinaw talaga. No? Naalala ko lang, no? Ito very weird to, pero naalala ko si Amy Marcos when she was asked about her diploma sa Princeton ba yun? Ang
Yeah.
sabi niya ay,
Princeton.
yes, sabi niya, yes, tama po talaga, it's the season. Election na talaga. So yun yung masasabi ko rin talaga. Election na talaga. At mukhang ginagamit na platform itong mga YouTubers. Kasi alam naman natin, no, it's not Tony actually eh. It's Alex Gonzaga who has a bigger platform. Pero by extension, parang si Tony, ginagamit na rin yung clout ng kapatid niya eh. At yung, syempre, mahirap din namang i-deny yung mismong personal at direct relationship ni Tony sa Marcos family at kay Bongbong Marcos. Naging ninong nila sa kasal eh. Ano pa bang connection na hahanapin natin? Although others would say na, bakit inaaway si Tony? In-interview niya rin naman si Lenny. Pero hindi kasi yun yung point eh, di ba? Hindi naman porke nandyan yung tao, bibigyan natin ng platform.
Yes, and while we cannot prove that, the Marcoses are paying these people like Tony Gonzaga to create content like, like this one, ang pwede nating sabihin, na sure tayo ay yung they are loyal to their own. Tama yung sinabi, hindi lang ninong basta-basta ni Tony Gonzaga si Bongbong Marcos. Si Bongbong mismo yung naghatid kay Tony Gonzaga sa altar nung kasal nila. So, they were really, really close. And just when I thought Tony Gonzaga was having this character development, interviewing Chel Jokno and Lenny Robredo about the dangers of martial law, about the dangers of corruption and of, lack of integrity while in public office. Wala pa rin, hindi naman, biglang may ganito. And nag-agree ako na weird or I think very well orchestrated. I think we can argue, and I dare say na bahagi ng mas malaking architecture na ginawa ng Marcos apologists for a very well-oiled propaganda machinery for their political revival. Or I don't want to say revival kasi pag sabi mo yan, then kailangan mo i-argue na nawala sila talaga. Pero hindi naman. 5 years lang naman na-exile ang mga Marcoses sa Hawaii. 1991, nakabalik na ng Pilipinas, and as early as that, they already started running for local offices in Ilocos. Diba? So, yun. Ang interesting dito, nung nag-weigh in yung ibang mga politiko natin, like for example, Chis Escudero, na alam natin ang tatay ni Chis Escudero ay isang crony, So sabi niya, why are you going after Tony Gonzaga? Diba? Channel niya yun eh. Right? So, freedom of speech or something like that. So they're defending Tony along that trope of, freedom of expression and so on. Pero tulad ng isa kong shinare na sinabi ng isang philosopher na si Karl Popper, yes, we should practice tolerance, but at the same time, we shouldn't really be tolerant of the intolerance, right? And I think Bongbong Marcos defending and remaining unapologetic to the authoritarian legacy of his father is the embodiment or remains to be the embodiment of intolerance in Philippine politics. And do we really want to give platform to this clearly undemocratic leader? His old praises nga with the generalissimo Franco, di ba? na isang pasista sa Espanya. So what does that say? So yun yung gusto kong sabihin. I mean, at tama yung sinasabi ni Aaron about consumption. This particular video is already the most watched content in Tony's YouTube channel. So really, really dangerous. And yes, I mean this month, and I would like to end with this note. This month, I think our should I say, our echo chamber, halimbawa, tayong mga anti-Marcos historian, kiniklaim ko na, yung mga nakikita natin, mga commemorations about the atrocities of martial law, yun yung mga nakikita natin sa Facebook, sa Twitter, pero hindi ito yung nakikita nung iba. Alright, nung iba nating mga estudyante, halimbawa, nung iba nating peers, nung iba nating mga relatives, ganyan. So, I think the challenge for us would be to break through this echo chamber and to reach wider audiences. Kapag pinapakalat natin yung mensahe na the martial law years were not glorious years in Philippine economy, politics, society. Marcos was a corrupt and murderous dictator. And martial law was a the darkest period in our post-war history. So yun yung I think challenge para sa ating mga anti-dictatorship and democratic and pro-democracy advocates and activists. So, there.
All right, so 19 months since the first lockdown was introduced in the Philippines because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippines is still in a lockdown, but this time around, the government has introduced a new set of nomenclature. Hindi na ECQ, MECQ, kundi meron ng alert levels na ginagawa. No? So,
Dati di ba tiny bubbles? Ano ba yung mga uso dati?
yes. Yes. No, so sa gitna ng ongoing battle natin with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are recording this monthly wrap-up on 26 of September. Meron tayong recorded cases so far na 2 million na. Halos 2.5 million na yung recorded cases natin since the first recorded case. At syempre, nagkaroon na rin ng pronouncement na nasa Pilipinas na nga yung tinatag na Lambda variant. So, hindi na lang siya yung Delta variant. So, meron ng Lambda variant. At pagkatapos ay sa gitna ng lahat ng paglaban natin sa COVID-19 pandemic, na-expose yung corruption na nangyayari sa likod ng procurement ng maraming supplies, medical supplies, katulad noong ever famous or infamous na face shield mula doon sa Farmally, nakita natin na with the Senate inquiries, lumabas na talagang mayroong katiwalian dahil sila mismo ay inamin nila na sila ay nagbebenta ng substandard na face shield, no? Pero ito ay patuloy pa ring binibili at ipinapamahagi ng gobyerno, no? At recently lang din ay naglabas ng declaration si President Rodrigo Duterte na hindi na required ang face shield. So after 19 months when medical professionals are trying to argue na hindi naman talaga siya 100% effective, finally ay meron ng ganitong pronouncement. Pero hindi natin alam kung magiging polisiya din talaga ito, no? At syempre, hindi pa dyan natatapos yung ating COVID-19 situationer. Syempre patuloy pa rin, no, sa gitna ng lahat ng mga nangyayari sa bansa, no? Nakakabahala pa lang din talaga na yung priorities ng gobyerno ay parang misplaced talaga, katulad na lang nung balita na nakita natin sa social media recently. Meron pang installation sa Manila Bay, nung Manila Bay Dolomite Beach.
Walang space yun,
No? Oo,
sabihin mo in one breath.
Manila Bay Dolomite. Anyway, no? So billions yung ginagastos ng pamahalaan sa pagdadump ng dolomite para magmukhang white sand yung Manila Bay, when in fact pwede nating masabi na yung pondo na yun ay pwedeng idinagdag na lang sa serbisyong mga kalusugan, karagdagang bayad sa mga health worker, pagbili ng supplies and so on, no? Pero hindi, no, sa Dolomite siya napupunta, no? So hindi pa natin nakikita yung end ng pandemic sa konteksto ng Pilipinas sa ngayon, at hindi natin alam kung kailan natin makikita 'to kasi mukhang talagang napaka-pressing ng issue ngayon talaga ng elections, at mukhang a regime change would be the only way to see a significant change in the public health policy in the Philippines, no? So kumusta ang COVID situation para sa inyo?
Alright. Alam mo, sobrang fitting nung remark ni Vice President Leni Robredo tungkol dito sa Parmali issue. Simple lang sabi niya, yung tanong niya, paano kayo nakakatulog sa gabi? Di ba? Which is, di ba, it's a very valid, it's a very, I don't know, cathartic sentiment na I think it echoes my own sentiment and a lot of other people's sentiments. Paano kayo nakatulog sa gabi na sa gitna ng pandemya na sobrang daming nagkakasakit at namamatay? Kahit yung mga mismong bakunado, siguro dahil na rin sa pagbitaw ng mga maraming variants, may mga ganitong klaseng korupsyon, tapos na-unravel nga yung connect-connect ng mga taong involved dito sa Parmali corruption scandal na to. And I would also like to comment on the callousness involved with this corruption scandal and yung binanggit ni Aaron kanina na, okay, Manila Baywalk Dolomite White Sand Beach, I don't know. Manila Baywalk Dolomite Beach. So it's a very callous move. I mean, considering how much frack it drew nung unang inilaunch itong Dolomite Beach na to. Kasi nga, the nation is actually in crisis. Tapos, ganito yung nangyayari. So, ako personally, I thought that things would get better with the introduction of vaccines. To be fair, madaming mga tao na yung nababakunahan. I think yung progress natin was actually faster than expected. It's already faster than expected. Pero hindi siya nata-translate into lower cases. Diba? I mean, the past weeks, ang tataas ng cases, pumapalo na. I think today ay 20,700 something pa rin yung kaso. So, it's not getting any better actually. Hospitals are still full. People are advised to buy their own oxygen tanks and oximeters at home kasi expected na walang slot sa mga ospital. So, I think kung mas maraming mga tao ang nababakunahan, pero hindi pa rin nag-i-improve yung overall COVID situation sa Pilipinas, siguro naman fair na isisi talaga sa management ng pandemic when it comes to restrictions, for example, and I think ay babalik tayo dun sa ayuda or dun sa social safety net na pinaprovide sa mga tao to persuade them to keep from doing their usual economic activities and so on. And medyo na-startle ako nung sinabi ni Aaron na 19 months na pala. So, 5 buwan na lang, 2 taon na tayong ganito. And tama yung sinasabi natin na wala pa akong nakikitang liwanag sa dulo ng tunnel. That is the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm seeing my friends walking around different countries like in the States or in Europe. Walang mask, besh. Samantalang dito, nakikipag-away ka sa gwardiya sa mga government agencies kasi ayaw kang papasukin dahil wala kang face shield. And by the way, binanggit ni Chris yata kanina or ni Aaron, na tinanggal na ni Duterte yung pag-require sa mga face shield. Ginawa na rin niya yan earlier this year. In-announce niya na wala nang face shield, pero nung nag-spike yung kaso, binauwi niya. So I don't think this is the end of our face shield trouble here in the Philippines. So, ayun. Sorry kasi mag-rant lang talaga ako kapag COVID-19 situation yung pinag-uusapan kasi sobrang nakaka-disillusion na yung mga nangyayari.
Ako naman,
Take it away.
just to weigh in, itong Parmali scandal, I think 10 billion. Tapos yung PhilHealth na 15 billion. Naalala nyo nung PDAF scam? 10 billion lang yun eh. Pero parang mas malala yung indignation nung PDAF kesa ngayon na ang nawawala sa atin ay bilyon-bilyon din. Pero parang hindi ko maramdaman yung indignation na naramdaman ko nakita nating lahat noong comparable scandals nung panahon ni Pinoy. So, tapos just recently, lumabas yung survey regarding sa satisfaction rating ni Duterte, and patapos na yung term niya, pero 75%. Have we ever seen a president as popular as this guy? So, with his bungled and mismanaged COVID response, I don't see how it is still possible that he remains popular. So, sobrang galing niya sigurong mag-spin ng balita, or to still be popular amidst all the scandals. Baka dapat yung Netflix series na How to Become a Tyrant, baka dapat isama na siya ron, kasi masterclass talaga siya of popularity. And as historians, na meron tayong pagtingin sa mga presidente bilang historical figures and the leadership that they gave nung kanilang presidencies, ang hirap pagbanggain yung popularity ng Duterte, knowing what is being done by the Duterte administration and how it actually directly affects us. Yun yung hindi ko matanggap, na yung mga pamilya natin nararanasan ito. And yet, as historians, all we can do is watch. Kasi wala pa tayong magawa. Kasi hindi pa ripe yung moment para labanan si Duterte, it seems. Or is it just me na parang sobrang jaded ko na ba, na anong scandal pa ba yung kailangan para magalit yung mga tao? I think yun yung iniisip ko, kasi every time na mag-wrap up tayo at may COVID situation, or it's very clear. I mean, we don't really have to be anti-Duterte to know something is not going right. And yet, the Philippines still loves Duterte. So, ang hirap i-reconcile. Yun lang naman yung point ko.
Madaming issues doon, no, pagdating dun sa hindi natin talaga ma-reconcile, no? Kasi iba talaga yung reality on the ground. May narinig akong talking to people, no, sa labas, na may pag-iisip kasi na nahihiwalay ng mga tao yung kapalpakan, no, ng administrasyon dun sa pangulo, no. May parang hindi naman siya pagod na kasi siya, ganyan. At kaya yung halimbawa yung kritisismo, kahit sa nagmumula sa mga
Naka-compartmentalize.
sa mga Duterte supporters, no, ang kritisismo nila nakatuon dun sa mga gabinete, no, miyembro ng mga gabinete, pero hindi dun sa pangulo, no. Parang nagkakaroon talaga ng cognitive dissonance, and ewan ko, hindi naman natin agad-agad madidismiss yun talaga na totally as fanaticism, no? Kasi naalala ko yung pelikula na Our Brand is Crisis, no? Yung talagang yung crisis kasi, kahit na tinatanggal nito yung tabing, na pinapakita niya kung gaano kapalpak ang isang authoritarian regime, kasi basically echo chamber lang, yung isang boses lang pinakikinggan mo, so no solutions would come from that echo chamber, no, kasi ayaw mo ng dissent. Pero at the same time kasi, no, you can create a worldview, a version of the world na di-desensitize yung mga tao, and people get convinced na halimbawa yung pagdating ng bakuna, no, very grateful yung mga tao, and some thinkers are saying, no, na baka gamitin din ito just to push this yung campaign for the elections, no. Dumating na yung mga bakuna. Salamat ito. So may cultural factors din doon, and a lot of yung patronage, no, yung links din, no, napakadumi talaga ng politika natin. And of course, no, yung ayaw na ayaw ko rin talaga yung tinitingnan si Pangulong Duterte as ama ng bayan, no. Ako nag-work ako sa Official Gazette, no, under the previous administration. Nababanggit din yun, no, yung katagang yun, ama ng bayan, doon sa speech ni Pinoy. Talagang hindi ko talaga yun matanggap, kasi ang ama kasi, no, hindi mo yan pinili, no? Hindi mo yan pinili. Pinanganak ka sa pamilya yun, hindi mo siya pinili. At kung abusado man yung tatay mo, di ba may kultura tayo doon na hindi mo pwedeng pagsalitaan ng masama yung tatay mo, ganyan. And you also appeal to moral, di ba, yung fabric of the family, ganyan. Pag sinabi mong ama ng bayan, hindi siya ama kasi kinalal siya, at merong set of expectations doon, no? Kaya nga ang pagiging pangulo, hindi rin naman natin hinala ng pagiging santo eh. Ang kailangan lang natin talaga within that 6-year term, no, ma-fulfill niya yung duty niya sa mga sa pamamayan na naghalal sa kanya. So, kahit yung katagarin kay Vice President Leni Robredo na ina ng bayan, hindi hindi ko talaga hindi ako agree doon. Parang hinalal natin sila at may hangganan ng term nila dahil ang dahilan nila sa kanilang duty ay para pasilbihan ng taong bayan. May pangako sila na sinabi, no, na dapat yung mga pangako nilang yun, dapat dun sila sinusukat. No? Dun talaga sila minimeasure. And hindi mo pwedeng i-measure ang ama ng bayan. Ama mo yan eh, di ba? Ama mo yan eh. So parang talagang sobrang. Oo, so ayun, yun lang naman yung ko doon. So, yung notion na ama siya, no, therefore hindi mo siya pwedeng i-criticize. I-criticize na lang natin yung mga cabinet members niya. Yun din siguro yung kaya may disconnect, no? Na kahit kitang-kita ng mga tao na namatayan na sila and all, pero nasisisi nila hindi sa decision maker, no? Kundi dun sa mas mabababang mga tao, no, na in-appoint din niya.
So tama yung sinabi ni Chris about the problem with that kind of tatay digong rhetoric. Hindi mo naman masisingil kasi yung tatay mo. And I think accountability is a very important element of democracy. Would you hold your father accountable? Diba? Parang hindi naman yun ang nangyayari talaga. So, and speaking of elections and president, this month, manglan-nglan na rin ang mga kandidato o mga politiko na nag-express ng kanilang intention to run. Kasi by next month, I think the COMELEC would already ask them to officially declare their candidacy. And in fact, yung voters registration na dapat din ay magtatapos ngayong buwan ay pinepetition na ma-extend hanggang next month din. So, pero I think the more interesting part of the 2022 election was yun nga, yung pag-declare ng mga politiko of their intention to run for presidency. And I think among the first candidates who declared their intention to run were Panfilo Lacson for president with Senate President Tito Soto as his vice president. Tapos, nariyan na rin ang nag-declare ng kandidatura na si Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso at syempre si Manny Pacquiao. Okay, so napaka-interesting nitong mix na to kasi among all of these candidates, I don't think any of them actually represents the opposition. I mean, di ba, itong mga taong ito ay, kung hindi man ambivalent, ay talagang outrightly supportive of the Duterte administration since 2016. Tapos ngayon that they're declaring their respective bids for presidencies, then suddenly meron silang mga kritisismo, like si Manny Pacquiao, halimbawa, for the past months, di ba, nagbabatuhan sila ng patutsyada ni Rodrigo Duterte. So for the next month, for October, I'm looking forward to seeing real alternative candidates, halimbawa. So syempre inaabangan pa rin natin yung kandidatura ng mga taong talagang nag-e-embody ng opposition for the very important or for the presidency. Okay, so what can you say about these developments patungkol sa 2022 presidential election? Na ilang buwan na lang rin, di ba? Mga 8 months, 7 months?
Actually, may pressure, no, for example, nagbi-build up talaga yung pressure for Vice President Leni Robredo to run, no, and other potential opposition candidates are giving her an ultimatum, no, na dapat tumakbo ka. Pag hindi ka tumakbo, tatakbo ako, ganyan, no? And ang daming dynamics kasi, no, na parang I really appreciate the Vice President's efforts to unite the opposition. Kasi kailangan talaga magkaroon ng broad coalition in order to defeat, no, the ruling incumbent, Pero yun nga, no, parang as of this moment kasi, I could also feel the frustration, no, among yung mga ano, yung tayo, no, I could feel the frustration online na wala eh, pare-pareho lang yung lumabas, no, na mga kandidato. And kumbaga parang what is she waiting for, no? Pero at the same time kasi I'm careful also not to pressure her kasi people have been saying, no, na si Vice President na dapat you owe the country to run. Parang no, she doesn't owe any one of us anything. No, kasi for we needed we ano no yung based on her track record alone, no, sa pagiging vice pangulo ng Pilipinas, sobrang sterling no kanyang record na imagine no yung giving parang yung support dun sa mga para magkaroon ka ng para ma-encourage yung mga tao magpapakuna, no, bibigyan mo sila ng incentive, no, very positive, no, hindi katulad nung alternative na ayaw nyo pa magpabakuna, papakulong ko kayo, no, napakakiti ng utak nung yung agad-agad ite-threaten mo, babantaan mo agad yung sambayanan, no, pero we're seeing ako I'm being patient about it, no, ako personally, no, I do not blame na maraming tulad ko. Pero kasi iba rin kasi yung support, no, na ginagarner ni Vice President, no. Isang tawag lang niya, halimbawa, a lot of people would contribute, would donate, no, dun sa mga programs niya. And because of her transparency and also yung openness niya to collaborate, no, and yung push niya for participative governance. And that's very attractive and a complete opposing stand, no, from the incumbent administration. And ako parang na-appreciate ko yun, no, yung wish niya na to garner a broad opposition. And I think I'm not the only one person who would say na we need the broadest, no, opposition. And I think it's about time na 'di ba we know that yung divisive na dilaw and pula, no, and parang na yun, parang kung nasusunog yung bahay mo, pagdidebatiin pa ba natin kung malinis yung tubig, di ba? Parang kailangan mo nang yung itapon yung tubig sa nasusunog nating bahay. And saka na natin i-settle kung ano man ang mga pagkakaiba. The important thing is to defeat the anti-democratic forces that would silence the country's, the nation's voice. Yun lang naman yung sa akin, no? Pero nakikita ko rin yung the way that she's being given an ultimatum na may tension na may pagka anti-women, no? Parang minamaliit mo no, may pagmamaliit, no, based on her gender, which is very bad, no, sa perception ko. So yun.
All right. How about you, Lee? What do you think?
Ayan na nga, malapit na nga talaga ang eleksyon, at ako ang iniisip ko, maaga pa rin. I mean, kahit sabihin natin na malapit na ang deadline of filing, pwede kasing mag-file and then bawiin or magdeklara na I'll be running as president just to get the feelers out kung okay ba, tataas ba yung rating ko sa surveys, and then kapag hindi naman tumaas, pwedeng bawiin. It's never too late for the opposition to unite under a common candidate. But more than that, dapat may non-negotiables tayo when it comes to who we will support. At although na-appreciate ko naman si VP Lenny na gusto niya rin talagang magkaroon ng malawak na suporta at malawak na coalition para nga labanan ng Duterte administration. Pero sana yung susuportahan hindi katulad din ni Duterte, kasi I'm really bothered by the tendencies of Isko Moreno Tumagos to be very trapo, na sasabihin lang yung mga bagay na sinasabi niya ngayon kasi he knows and he wants to ensure the widest support from all people. But of course, I'd rather that VP Lenny runs for the presidency. But si VP Lenny rin, I think she's very careful and calculated with her pronouncements and what she wants to do. But at the end of the day, hindi rin natin siya pwedeng madaliin. Yun. So, ang akin lang, hindi pa talaga natin nakikita yung totoong landscape ng 2022 elections. We are just starting. And hopefully, at the end of the day, maging maayos yung resulta. I mean, magkaroon tayo ng totoong choices sa pagka-presidente kasi our nation really needs it.
Agree ako dun sa mga sinabi ninyo, no? Pero talagang sa akin, kung magkaroon man o wala ng genuine quote-unquote opposition candidate sa dadating na eleksyon, I think it should not stop us or stop everyone from doing our due diligence and also really scrutinizing whoever are the candidates that we are left with, no, na kung meron man o wala na genuine opposition, kung same ba na naman silang lahat, no, it should not stop, maybe if not even more so, na dapat mas maging active tayo sa pag-scrutinize sa kanila kung pare-pareho sila sa tingin natin, no. So yun yung sa akin na mas malaking laban, no. I think more than yung paghahanap ng genuine opposition candidate, mas malaking laban yung pag-ensure natin na magiging malinis yung eleksyon, yung pag-ensure natin na talagang i-exercise natin yung ating responsibilidad na talagang kilalanin yung mga kandidato at talagang i-hold sila accountable, and let's not be afraid to speak truth to power, no. Yun yung I think talagang malaking hamon sa atin na parating dito sa padating na kampanya hanggang sa election at sa immediate months after the election next year. Bukod pa sa nangyayari to sa gitna ng pandemya, no, napakalaki ng at stake dito sa election na ito. Kaya naman sana kung ikaw ay nakikinig ng monthly wrap-up namin ngayong September at hindi na-extend ang voters registration, sana ay nakapag-register ka to vote. At sana ay bumoto ka sa darating na May 2022. No? Yun lang yung sa akin.
Okay, so, ako, hopeful pa rin ako. Syempre, di ba, ang ating ideal and best case scenario dito ay magkakaroon tayo ng isang tulad ng sinabi ni Chris, ay isang broad coalition to constitute the opposition for this coming election. But at the same time, tingin ko kailangan pa rin nating maging particular about the politics of people, that we will be throwing our hats for this coming election. So yun. Pero tama din yung sinabi ni Aaron Ang mahalaga naman kasi ang demokrasya ay lagi siyang work in progress. Okay? I mean, kahit naman sinong leader ang umupo dyan, ang mahalaga sa kanya ay kapag nandyan na siya, he is someone or she is someone na pwede mong i-check. That you can hold accountable, that you can check and balance, so to speak. Right? So, for example, wala naman perfectong leader di ba? But for example, this administration, Rodrigo Duterte, syempre, di siya perfect. I mean, really, really far from it. Pero I think the biggest flaw with this administration is that he became someone that you couldn't check anymore. Kasi na-co-opt niya yung mga check and balance institutions sa politika ng Pilipinas, di ba? Meron kang supermajority sa Kongreso, nakuha mo ang Korte Suprema. So, sino pang mag-check sa kanya bilang isang pangulo or bilang isang chief executive? So, the 2022 May presidential election is a very crucial battle. Pero siguro kung meron mang aral, kung meron mang lesson na iniwan sa atin itong kasalukuyang administrasyon simula 2016, ay yun na dapat ay patuloy na maging mapagmatyag at mag-work towards the continuous development of our democracy, of our democratic culture at all levels. All right? So, it's just, I mean, sinabi ko na rin ito noong 2019 kung saan natalo tayo ng malalay. Pero, sasabihin ko ulit, this is just a battle and the war for a genuine democracy that would cover not just our political freedom but our economic dignity as well is always the larger war for all of us. So, ayun. Okay, so that's it for our September wrap-up. So, syempre, gusto nating pasalamatan muli ang ating guest for today's episode, Chris Passion. Thank you very much, Chris. Baka meron kang gustong i-promote sa ating mga listeners.
Yes, no. Sa mga listeners natin na nasa Twitter, no, we're holding History Space PH, no. It's a Twitter Space event, no, every Saturday at 8 o'clock, no, Philippine local time. So you can listen in, and meron kaming question and answer portion dun sa Twitter Space, so that I think it runs maximum of 4 hours. At nakakatuwa, no, kasi maraming mga nakikinig, no, and I would always say, no, even when Twitter isn't the reality, no, isn't the real battleground, no, when it comes to disinformation, no, and yung propaganda war, no, it's a space where we can huddle and really gather our strengths, no, and encourage one another para dun sa malawakang laban sa offline, sa labas ng Twitter and sa offline. So, ano din, no, I would also like to promote our programs din also sa National Historical Commission of the Philippines. We have 27 museums, no, each one has its own Facebook pages, no, so may mga efforts kami to make our programs online. So marami kaming mga webinars, no. Other than that, no, I also partner with the subselfie.com. We're an online millennial magazine, no. And we also have a podcast, kaso nga lang ngayon, lang kami, no. Nagpapahinga muna kami. Busy kasi yung editor-in-chief namin. But, ayun, no, I share the advocacy with all our fellow historians na doing the public history work. No? Ako sa Twitter, there are others on YouTube, on Facebook. There are even others on TikTok, no? And in other platforms, usually dominated by the historians of history. So ayun, no, dami-daming nangyayari. I hope you guys, our listeners, would look us up and participate and amplify our voice. We just need help in amplifying the social media presence of these friends of ours, no? Including, of course, itong ating podcast, no? Ayun, no? Thank you so much.
Yes.
Alright, maraming salamat, Chris.
Thank you so
And
much,
sa ating
Chris.
mga listeners, continue to follow us on our social media pages. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. And of course, you can also visit podcast.org for more content.
Alright, so also, our next season is coming up very, very soon. So please watch out for that. At sana ay patuloy pa rin kayo. So once again, this is podcast, and thank you for listening, and have a good day.